This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, we now bring you a discussion on cabinet decisions. The participants are Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and AIR special correspondent Mattu JP Singh. Major cabinet decision taken today for setting up a national recruitment agency to conduct common eligibility test, a revolutionary reform which is in line with government's objective, as Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar said, continuous reforms with technology and transparency. Briefing media, Mr. Javadekar said that this fulfills long-standing demand of youth of the country. Shekharji, as explained, this landmark reform talks about a paradigm shift and has immense benefits for both the aspirants who are appearing for these tests and for those who are conducting these tests.
Indeed, this is a very, very historical decision because for the first time you are going to see that millions of job seekers in India, particularly those who are seeking government jobs, they will be spared of the agony of appearing for so many exams, sometimes with clashing dates, sometimes having to give exams at different centers. So what we are seeing today is the cabinet has decided to go in for a new recruitment agency called the National Recruitment Agency, which will conduct a common eligibility test for three sectors actually. One is for the railway for Group B and C, and then another for the Institute of Banking Recruitment, that is IBPS, and the preliminaries for the Staff Selection Commission, the SSC. So these three agencies which recruit for government jobs, they will now go for the preliminary examination to be conducted by this new agency. And every year we know almost 2.5 crore Indians give the exams, and this is very big because the whole idea is that these multiple exams should be avoided so that they are spared of the agony. Then there are no clashing dates, so the candidates do not have to choose one exam over the other. And the third idea, I think that's the most important thing, is that rural candidates will benefit because the idea is to have examination centers in every district at least. So in all, there are plans to have about 1,000 centers which will conduct a common test, and those scores will be available to the candidate immediately, and they'll be valid for the period of 3 years.
If I may add, this will also help the women and the disadvantaged candidates.
Exactly, because they do not have to travel to some cities because most of these examination centers are located in cities. Now it will be there in their own district. There is a possibility that some districts may have 2 centers. So this will actually encourage women candidates and those who are physically challenged to actually take these exams. And the whole thing is there will be a common curriculum for all these jobs, whether it is railways or for banks or for the Staff Service Commission. And they will have to prepare for the exam, and the other opportunity that will be given to the candidate is they can improve the score and use that score to further apply for those jobs and then proceed for the second and third level. Because you normally have a preliminary, then you have a main exam, then it's followed by an interview. Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has always been talking about need to cease of giving exams because there is so much of anxiety, not just clearing the academic ones, but also to pass these entrance tests for government jobs. Every year the government has vacancies of about 1 lakh and more, and these exams are intended to fill these posts. So previously what we have seen is, the railways have the Railway Selection Board, the banks have the IBPS, the central government recruitment is done through the Staff Service Commission. So these are essentially for Group B and Group C. So I think giving a common eligibility test is a very important decision. The very fact that the candidates will feel that it will be all done through online and they will get immediate scores, and they will also have an opportunity to improve them. And also that this will be available in Indian languages, at least 12 Indian languages. Previously they were available only in English and Hindi. This is going to be available in 12 Indian languages to begin with, and then they hope to cover all the official languages, Indian languages that are covered under the Constitution.
And it also proposes to shorten the recruitment cycle, and it will also curb expenditure. What is your say on this?
See, normally what we got the figures today from the Secretary of DOPT, Mr. Chandramouli, was saying that, these agencies spent about 1,500 crores for these exams. Now, if the common test is taking place, there is going to be a savings because there is not going to be duplication. So you are going to see some savings in terms of money spent in conducting these exams. That is one. And also for the candidates, they don't have to pay the entrance fee repeatedly for different exams. There is one common exam and one common entrance fee and one common date in which they will take the exam. So therefore, I think what you're going to see is it's a win-win situation where the government is going to save money because there is one common eligibility test. Candidates will save money because they have to just pay for one test.
Now moving to the other major decision today, Cabinet approved a proposal for leasing out 3 Airports Authority of India through public-private partnership. These are Jaipur, Guwahati and Thiruvananthapuram. And these will be on operate, manage and development mode. Shekharji, how will this bring efficiency in service?
See, already the decision was taken long ago that these airports, Jaipur, Guwahati and Thiruvananthapuram, which are currently under the Airports Authority of India, that these airports need to be expanded in terms of runway operation as well as modern facilities for passengers and modern technology for handling of aircraft as well as cargo facilities. This requires a lot of investment, and the government had proposed that these airports should be developed along the way other airports have developed, like Delhi, Mumbai, as well as we have seen Hyderabad and Bangalore were some of the earlier airports which went into this private-public partnership. So similarly, this is already a decision in there. But today's cabinet decision is actually to approve for the arrangements already in place because the transparent bidding took place, and already in these cases the successful bidder is about to enter into an agreement with the local airport authority, that is the National Airports Authority. So this will be a joint venture which will see also the commercialization of the airport space, because we are going to see construction of shopping areas and other places. So there is monetization of the space available, the passenger facilities improve, and also we will see that in terms of airport development, what is necessary, whether it is approach to the airports or improvement of the runways. So all these are going to be covered in this. And government has been rather encouraging entry of private capital for these projects, which will be on a shared basis. And already there is a lot of excitement happening in these states, particularly Thiruvananthapuram, Jaipur and Guwahati, because these are seen as new areas where there is a scope for a lot of economic activity and economic boost. So what we are seeing today is actually approving the proposal for leasing out after this bidding process, which has almost been completed for these apps.
Cabinet also decided about fair and remunerative price of sugarcane payable by sugar mills for season 2020-21 at 285 rupees per quintal for a basic recovery of 10%. Shekharji, how is this going to benefit 1 crore farmers engaged in sugarcane production?
Already we have seen, sugarcane cultivation and the problems of the sugarcane farmers have been addressed by the government for some time now. So what we have seen today is announcement for price for this season, which is an improvement over the previous season and takes into account the actual cost of production. So this will encourage both the growers as well as the mill owners, because the government has also been pressing on the mill owners to clear the dues of the sugarcane farmers. So this is also an important decision that has been taken today.
In other decision, one-time relaxation has been given to Power Finance Corporation and Rural Electrification Corporation for extending loans to DISCOMs above limits of working capital cap of 25% of last year's revenues under Ujjwal DISCOM Assurance Yojana. How will this impact during this time of Corona pandemic? And my other related question is, how will this one-time relaxation help in providing liquidity to the power sector and ensure payments by state governments to DISCOMs?
You see, what is happening in the last few years is Modi government has been going for reforms in the electricity sector where the consumer pays for the electricity, at the same time he gets an assured supply 24/7. Now this policy has seen a lot of changes, with the distribution being privatized in some states, rather in almost all states, separate DISCOM companies being set up, sometimes in the public-private partnership. But there is also a problem that most of the state governments are finding it difficult in terms of implementing those decisions, where, they feel that the subsidy that they are giving to different categories of consumers, that subsidy needs to be compensated. And the centre's approach towards this issue is that the states are free to provide the subsidy to their respective category of consumers, but the state government will have to budget and the state DISCOMs will have to be provided to support. Any subsidy that is to be given to the consumers, the central government's approach is that it should be given directly. And it should be a direct benefit transfer rather than broad subsidy, which actually doesn't see that the actual beneficiaries are the consumers who belong to those categories who need help or who need to be subsidized. So what we're going to see in this decision is that whichever DISCOMs want to avail of loans to improve their financial situation, to meet the subsidy demands of their respective states, So this is going to help them. But ultimately, I think we are going to see that reforms moving forward because the responsibilities of the states to see that the subsidies are given directly to the consumers, because this is something the central government has been emphasizing, and we have also seen Atmanirbhar package was announced, 20 lakh crore package was announced to overcome the economic situation caused by Corona. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman ji was very particular that, in fact, she had announced some additional advantages to states which follow fiscal discipline to ensure direct benefit transfer and to carry out these reforms. So we'll have to see today's cabinet decision in that context.
If we go back to the National Recruitment Agency decision, this proposes standardized testing. So how will the tests be scheduled and how will the choosing of centers go for the candidates?
The one problem that is straightaway will be solved is the candidates will not have to worry about which exam to take and which exam not to take. Because railways, they fill up vacancies every year. Similarly, we have seen the banking sector also, particularly the government-run banks or state-run banks also conducting regular recruitments. Then also the other departments of the government which are mandated through the Staff Service Commission, particularly for the Group B and Group C. Now, the problem in this case is that the limitations of the candidates are that sometimes these dates clash, or the centers are in such places where they can only opt for one and not the other. So if you look at it purely in terms of the candidate's point of view, he or she need not bother about the multiplicity of these exams. They have to just prepare for a standard common curriculum, which will be common for all the three recruitment agencies, whether it is railways, whether it is government banking sector, or the government staff service commission. The syllabus is going to be the same, the curriculum will be same, and the second thing is, tests will be entirely conducted on online centers, which will be very closer to their home. Because the government has also decided that particularly the aspirational districts, which are about 117 in number, those districts will be specially focused. And what the government is going to do, as we heard the Secretary DOPT say today, because in the aspirational districts, the candidates who are supposed to apply for these exams do not actually apply, because either for the lack of knowledge or lack of confidence or even lack of intervention. So what the government intends to do is to see that candidates from these aspirational districts, they are targeted and the National Testing Agency reaches out to them so that the recruitment is more broad-based, covers candidates from those backward areas. Also, as you mentioned earlier, women candidates also taken care, because normally for a women candidate to go out of a district or even to go out of the state to take the exam is normally not encouraged by the family members. So I think that will remove a big mental block, because the exams will be very close to their home. As I said earlier, the intentions of the government is to have at least 1,000 online testing centers, at least one in every district, and eventually cover all over the country, particularly those far-flung areas where there can be one or two centers so that they can take the exam. And the biggest relief for them is this is the preliminary exams that are conducted. After that, the government's intention is to see that gradually after they look at where the first tier tests have happened, then they can see whether it can be extended to the other tiers, particularly the main one and subsequent one. Therefore, what is the common problem? As we heard the Minister of State for Personnel, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji was saying today, there is a lack of standardization. So there are different standards for railways, for banking sector, and as well as for Staff Service Commission. So there will be a standardization of exam in terms of curriculum, in terms of the commonality, in terms of the date when these exams will be conducted, and as well as in the question papers that will be set. Therefore, there is end to duplication and anxiety among candidates, because they know that they are taking a common exam that will cover all the three. That score is a score which is valid for 3 years. They will have opportunity to improve that score, and they can accordingly, with that score, they can apply for various jobs. They can look at railways, they can look at banking sector, and the government intention is ultimately to cover nearly 20 departments of the government which conduct recruitment. But initially, we will start with 3 sectors.
Thank you, Shekharji, for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
You were listening to a discussion on cabinet decisions. The participants were Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and AIR special correspondent Mattu J.P. Singh. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our website, newsonair.com. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.